The world's evolving at a hell of a pace, and so is the world of strategy. The old days of supply and demand, that's old-fashioned economics. So, to tell us all about it, Raman, who is a lecturer at the University of Kingston Business School. Why is supply and demand not relevant anymore?
Well, in a sense, they are too static, they're one-sided. So really what actually happens is, if you're moving it into the practical world, what we're finding is that the old relationship between the supplier and the consumer, where the consumer was actually assumed to be powerless, and really what happens was that suppliers were just sort of positioning their products and services to the consumers, hoping they would just sort of consume, is no longer relevant. So really what's actually happening now is that we actually believe that strategy does not actually occur between sort of faceless suppliers and consumers. What's actually happening is they happen through interactions between, as we say, customers and suppliers interacting in a relational network.
But what's changed? What has been this fundamental change, and this, well, I suppose, quite sudden change in the way in which these relationships have developed?
Well, in a sense, in terms of academic frameworks, when we actually say take a subject like sustainability, if we want to measure the impact of sustainability, we would actually choose a transaction between a business supplier and a business customer. And what we would actually say is, what are the attributes of sustainability that are influencing a customer's purchasing intentions? Okay, so we're looking at the transaction, which is not relevant, because if you think about it, the transaction would not have actually taken place without a relationship. Okay.
But this is a fundamental shift. You've come from the world of consulting, where you were teaching supply and demand,
That's
no
right.
doubt. And now you've gone into the world of academia because there is no material to define exactly what it is that you're now saying is changing.
Conceptually, there is a lot of material out there, except it's just too complicated for it to be applied in terms of the practitioner world. Although a lot of management consultancies are actually using these tools, but they're trying to simplify it. My issue is that I have actually managed to construct some theoretical frameworks around this, except there is very little empirical evidence. And that's the problem.
But also academic research goes back hundreds of years, and people build a body of knowledge, don't they? Now you've got a revolution in communication, which is 5, 10 years old maybe, and if there's been no analysis of that information, you're at the forefront of it, I guess.
In a way, I mean, there are a lot of other people, other academics, other leaders in the field who are, who have actually seen this for a long time. But what they haven't actually done is, as I said, to actually get the sort of empirical evidence to actually show that these things work. Hypothetically
then, because we can only hypothesize, how does this revolution then evolve the sustainability debate when it comes to this fundamental change in the relationship between customer and supplier?
Well, the problem is sustainability is a very important issue. Everybody realises it's something needs to be done. In reality, although there's a big realisation that we need to solve the problem, any sustainability initiatives has either failed or has been very, very, very slow to be adopted. The question is, why is this the case? And therefore, if we could understand those processes, would it actually help our planning and let us actually allow for this, for these events and improve the success rates? And this is what my theory is actually trying to show, by understanding the underlying causes.
Let's test your commitment to this. Everybody who's studied strategy will have a bookcase full of strategy books. Have you thrown all of those away?
Nope.
Are they still relevant?
They are, because as Henry Mintzberg, who actually sort of said that strategic planning was, it was outdated and should actually be thrown out. When asked in the Strategic Management Journal, should we stop using those tools and frameworks, he said, please do not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Because what he actually said was, like with medicine, you need to understand what came before. And as we sort of understand this, because what's going to happen if we don't go back to the origins, we will just recreate the wheel.
Absolutely. And this is, but do you see this as a revolutionary moment? Is this strategy's industrial revolution almost?
Certainly, because if we do not develop strategy further, there will become even a bigger gap between industry and academia.
And in the Industrial Revolution we had the Luddites, they broke the machines. Are you facing much opposition?
Certainly, I've had a lot of interest in terms of wherever I've actually presented my ideas. It's actually been welcomed. But it's going to be interesting is because as I said, it's a very difficult area to research. So when we're talking about methodologies of actually doing the empirical side, that's going to be the interesting side to go away from the classical way we do research to
I suspect
move forward.
One of the reasons why companies do strategy and why people do strategy, why people do planning, is because we like to know where we're going.
Exactly.
Even if the end goal isn't ultimately where we end up going, we kind of think we've got a plan and a route map. We've got something there. We've now thrown away the route map. We've got a GPS, and the batteries could be going flat. There is an insecurity in the future, and your approach seems almost more insecure.
Well,
Or
strategy is insecure anyway. I mean, the whole point of the GPS is a good analogy, because the way strategy was created and the way it evolved was show us a direction, minimize our risk, so we could actually know, where we're going. Unfortunately, the world is too complex. We will never, ever be, unless you've got a very predictable environment, you'll never be able to get the directional markers, okay?
Is the world increasingly unpredictable?
Yeah. Okay, so what actually happens is that can you understand the process? Now, there's a famous story about some soldiers who were lost in the Alps, and they were trying to, they'd lost their map, and they tried every way to actually get down, and they couldn't. So they huddled in the corner hoping to survive. And suddenly one of the officers played with a zipper in his arm pocket, and he actually found a map, and immediately they found their way down. When they got down, the commanding officer looked at the map and he said, "This is not a map of the Alps, it's a map of the Pyrenees." Okay. So the question was the map accurate in terms of a directional marker? No. Did it inspire? Did it actually help them then think and solve their way and give them confidence to actually get out of their situation? Yes, it was. So as Eisenhower actually said, plans are nothing, but planning is actually everything.
It's a great way to end. Adam Raman is a lecturer, senior lecturer at the University of Kingston's Business School.